Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Read, Watch, Listen, East Brunswick Public Library's podcast where we catch up with people in our community to find out what they're reading, watching, and listening. I'm your host, Chris Barnes, and today we have a very special guest. She's our Youth Services Manager, Jen Fitzgerald. Jen, thank you for being on our show today.
Thank you, Chris.
Now, Jen is newish to the library, so what's your favorite thing about working at East Brunswick Public Library?
It's such a nice, diverse community, and it's good to meet all kinds of people who are interested in reading or watching or listening or just hanging out with our programs, all different things.
And so far, since you've been here, what's your favorite program that you've been a part of?
I have been doing the story times on Monday mornings, and I always like seeing the little ones get very excited, especially on a Monday morning. Maybe sometimes you're kind of feeling a little sluggish, and then you come in and they're just so excited to sing the songs and hear the stories and have the shaky eggs and catch the bubbles that it just starts the week off on the right foot.
No doubt about it. Seeing happy little kids happy to be at the library is a great way to start the work week. So without further ado, I guess that means we should start our podcast. It's called Read, Watch, Listen. So, Jen, what have you been reading lately?
Okay, so the one book I wanted to talk about in particular, I read for a book club. It's called Crow Mary, and it's by Kathleen Grissom. Came out, I think, 2 years ago. And it's historical fiction. It was set in like 1860s to 1880s. And I don't know that I would have picked it up on my own without the book club, but I am glad I read it. It's not an own voices book, even though the main character is Indigenous, but it seemed like it was well researched. And it kind of had a little bit of everything. Obviously, the history was based on an actual person who I didn't know anything about beforehand. Technically has a little bit of romance. There's like a marriage is a big part of the book. There's some action. There's these female friendships. There's courtroom drama. It really is a little of everything. It was just very thought provoking, and I enjoyed it. It was a good book for discussing. So I could see other book clubs wanting to read it too. I just wanted to pair that with another book I didn't read super recently, but I enjoyed it. It was an Own Voices book called We Still Belong by Christine Day. It is for middle grade readers. Since I do read a lot of children's book, that Crow Mary was one of the few adult books I've read recently. It's a seventh grader, I believe, in this book. And I like that it's one of these books that I really enjoy where it just takes place in a single day. But there's still like just a whole rich cast of characters. They do some going back to events that have happened before. It's not part of a series, but I feel like if it had a sequel or even a prequel, I would absolutely read it because I enjoyed meeting all these people. And the one day that it takes place in is Indigenous Peoples Day. It is like a big day for the main character because she has a poem that's going to be published in the school newsletter. She's very excited about that. By the end of the day, there's like a big powwow in the community and she gets to meet more people. Definitely also just has a lot of like typical middle grade stuff like school, new classmates, friendships. There's a boy she has a crush on, and there's like a school dance coming up. So, she kind of wants to ask him, but she's nervous. There's also like an subplot about how she's really into video games and she likes this one person in particular who is live streaming her gameplay. And at first, when she's watching this, her grandfather is looking at it with her like, what is this? Someone is just playing a video game for their job and like just is in disbelief about it. And then by the end, like he is watching it when she's not even there. And he's like all into like, look how much money she's raised while gaming. It was very cute. I just really enjoyed it. It is one of the books on the Garden State Children's Book Awards ballot for this year, which you can vote for, I think, up until the end of the year. It is also, if you're doing our summer reading program, one of the missions that gets you a point. So.
That's a very good plug. I'm going to put you on the spot. You have a very cranky child who's an early reader, comes up to the desk. What book do you recommend them as quickly as possible?
Probably something funny. And I know Elephant and Piggy is like a huge series that the kids love. A lot of them have read them already. So sometimes then I recommend the Elephant and Piggy Reads books, which are different authors, but they kind of have that stamp of approval. And a lot of times, if people have read every single Elephant and Piggy 14 times already, they're happy to find these other ones.
That makes perfect sense. Shout out to Mo Willems in Pigeon, who has the greatest social media account in the history of X or Twitter or whatever they call it these days.
Yes, I do love the pigeon, personally more than Elephant and Piggy, but I think the kids
I
are.
think they need to have more elephant, piggy, and pigeon together. They can call it the Pep Squad. See what I did there? Mo Willems, you can send the check to me at East Brunswick Public Library, 2 Gene Wilding Civic Center Drive, East Brunswick, New Jersey, 08816.
The pigeon is usually hidden inside the cover of every Elephant and
That's always
Piggy,
a fun
but
find.
yeah, it's not usually a character
No,
inside
I
the
want
books.
like a full-on crossover. I want elephant and piggy and pigeon and maybe the bus to be involved.
Mhm.
3-picture deal.
I did see a musical version of Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, which I don't think was actually the title, but it was so fun. I enjoyed it, and if it comes around near you, you should definitely see it.
That sounds amazing. I think it's a perfect segue to the next part of our show. For watching, what have you been watching? Any good movies or TV shows?
I did watch a TV show that I borrowed all the DVDs from the library, and I don't think it was great, but it was interesting, which was a show called Fringe. It was probably from, I don't know, around 2011, somewhere in there. It's a sci-fi show. There's a lot of sci-fi that is like not great. And honestly, sometimes it's fun to watch the ones that aren't great. This was kind of in the middle. I felt like the first season was not sure what it was doing, but then it picked up after that. So if you like, for some reason, 10-year-old sci-fi, that was interesting. It felt like it was trying to find the same audience as the X-Files. So
Mhm.
again, that would be sort of the recommended audience.
What's your guilty pleasure bad sci-fi series, TV show, or a movie?
I really enjoy this show called Haven, again, probably around that same time period. It's very loosely based on a Stephen King novel called The Colorado Kid. And that one I enjoy. I don't know. I don't think it's actually bad. I mean, some of the special effects are because it was a sci-fi network show with not a huge budget, but the storytelling was really good. For movies, I recently watched Don't Worry, Darling, which is, I know, a few years old now, but I just finally got around to it. Yes, technically it's a little bit of sci-fi too. It was one of those shows, not shows, movie, and it was really interesting. I was engaged the whole time. It wasn't perfect either, but it was very thought-provoking. I kind of finished it and thought, "What did I just watch?" But in a good way, not in a way of like I wasted my time, but more in a, "Huh, did I understand all of that?" And I think some of it is if you thought about it too hard, there were some plot holes, but it was still interesting. It was very beautifully filmed too,
Well,
and the
that's
acting
good.
was good. So
All right. So that brings us up to our final part, the listen. What have you been listening to lately or anytime?
So I do listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I just finished the Alex Trebek memoir that he wrote in 2020 called The Answer Is. It is read in part by Alex Trebek and in part by Ken Jennings, which surprised me, but it was a good pairing. And it was just a very wholesome read. Trebek was just so genuine about everything, and he does talk about his personal life, but he also talks a lot about the behind the scenes of Jeopardy. I'm not necessarily like a huge Jeopardy fan, but I've seen it. It's entertaining. And it was nice to hear the highlights from him, like what he thought were particularly notable moments. And then in terms of music, I've been listening to for like over 20 years this band called Carbon Leaf, but I finally saw them in concert for the first time in June. So that was exciting. So I was listening to their new album, but then also going to their back catalog and re listening to some of my favorites.
What is the most surprising thing that you listen to?
I don't know. I guess people don't expect that I listen to some harder rock, like some punk music.
All good. No, that's it says yes. I'm trying to remind everyone that library workers are not boring. We're very multidimensional and we're very interesting. You just got to spend time talking to us.
Yeah, we still have our summer reading challenge going on until August 22nd. So any reading you're doing, including if you're listening to any audiobooks, that all counts for earning points towards prizes.
That sounds good. Jen, I'm going to let you get going and so you can get back to the youth services department. Being that this is summer, that when we recorded this, summer reading is the busiest time. So again, if you see a children's librarian during the summer months, be kind. Jen, thank you so much for being on our show today. You can listen to more episodes of our podcast at ebpl.org/podcasts or wherever you find podcasts on Spotify and the usual suspects. Special thanks, as always, to our super producer, Melissa Hosick. I'm Chris Barnes, and thanks for listening.